I've spent the past week being completely absorbed by Granblue Fantasy Relink, and so far it's definitely been worth the wait. I spent a long time creating content for Relink and supporting it prior to the release, so I'm glad to see that the reception has been positive and that a lot of you are enjoying the game. So for those of you that are already playing, or for those of you that still want to see more of the full game before deciding if you want to play for yourselves, Cygames have sponsored today's video so that I can show you what I've been up to while I've been playing for the past few days. So if you want to learn more about Relink after watching or find out how you can get the game for yourselves, click the link in the description or pinned comment for more details. For my first time through the game, I decided to turn it into a bit of a challenge and put something that was said about Relink before release to the test. As many of you already know, Granblue Fantasy Relink is a game that has a single player storyline and a quest mode that can be played offline or online with other players. It also has a large roster of characters that you can play as, and they each have their own unique playstyle. Before release, it was said that even though playing quests in multiplayer will be beneficial, the game was designed to be fully playable offline, and all content can be completed with any character that you want to use. So I decided that I'll progress through the main story and all of the endgame content as the main character in the game, the Captain. Gameplay-wise, the Captain is a versatile character that can fulfill a variety of different roles. They have a larger selection of skills compared to the other characters in the game, so even if you don't control them directly, they can be customized to be a strong supportive party member that can help you get through the game. In addition to having a variety of damage-focused skills, they also have abilities that can be used to reduce the damage party members take from attacks. They can heal, resurrect, and even apply status immunity to party members. The effectiveness of all of these skills is influenced by the Captain's unique gameplay mechanic, Adept Arts, and for the most part it increases in level each time the Captain uses a combo finisher and certain attacks. At the start of the game, you'll be able to form a party using the Captain and 5 additional crew members, but there are many other characters that can be unlocked in using crewmate cards, which are obtained as you progress through the game. But I wanted to take this challenge a little further, so I decided not to use crewmate cards to unlock new characters, and I focused on playing as the Captain while only using the starting crew members, just to see how far I could get with them while playing offline. So for this playthrough, I haven't played multiplayer at all. Just like I mentioned in one of my previous videos, quest progress will be much faster while playing online, since you can funnel all of your resources into a single character and play alongside and coordinate with other people that are doing the same. And once that character is geared, they can be used to gather equipment for your other characters, which can make the gearing process smoother. While playing completely offline, you'll need to spread your resources across at least 4 characters if you want to gear up a full party. But you'll also have the freedom to do any quest whenever you want, with party members that can be reliable after a bit of preparation. Within a week of starting, I managed to complete the main story and all of the available endgame quests for the first time. But getting there was a bit of a journey, and considering I still need to fully unlock all of the Captain's collection masteries, obtain their final weapon, and unlock and try all of the other characters in the game, I still have a lot to do. I started playing through the story just as the early access period for the PS5 began, and getting through the main story was pretty straightforward. During the story, I didn't have many sigil slots available to do much customization on my characters, so I just used whatever I could find in treasure chests, since I wanted to avoid doing quests from the quest counter as much as possible until I finished the story. Even without questing, I didn't really need to do any grinding, and I could just get by using whatever I found within the world. Once I was done with the story, it was time for all of the post-story content. And this is where the gameplay experience in Relink shifts from a story focus to a progression and character development focus. My main goal was to get ready for the endgame difficulties, so I aimed to get my party to the level cap, upgrade their weapons, and unlock their masteries. Then I had to decide who I wanted to use in my party and configure their sigils. It took a lot of party members switching to test the characters out, and a lot of staring at them while they hit the training dummy for a while, just to see how their AI works. But in the end, I settled on Rackham, Eugen, and Io as my party members for the endgame. But maybe I set them up a bit too well, since there were certain quests where they just embarrassed me with their scores. Especially Eugen. Don't ignore this guy, he's strong. But I wasn't going to let my party members outdo me. So I had to really focus on upgrading my captain's equipment and figure out the best ways to use them to tackle the game's various bosses. Once I reached the Proud Quest difficulty, it was a bit of a learning experience, since there were some quests that were pretty straightforward and I got the highest ranking on the first attempt. But there were definitely a few that forced me to rethink my plan and go back and make some adjustments to my party members' builds. And the end result was a captain that ended up with an unnecessary amount of health. But that just kinda happened because of the traits and masteries I have. It's not necessary, but it was useful when going through the end game. While playing offline, you won't have the support of other players being able to coordinate to burn down bosses, so you'll most likely need to endure the majority of the phases that are thrown your way while progressing through the quests for the first time. But that doesn't mean that you need to sacrifice a lot of power, since it is possible to have a balance of offense and survivability depending on how you build your character. While upgrading my captain, I found a damage cap that I was comfortable with, and then I added some survivability to fill in some additional gaps in my sigils. But this will likely change constantly, since the more comfortable I feel handling some of the encounters, the more I'll reduce my survivability and increase my damage. For those of you that have just started playing or are considering playing the game, or if you're just curious about how my characters can perform, I'll run an early Proud Quest to show you what this party can do. I'll eventually upload my first run through the final endgame quest, but since people are still making their way through the game, I'll show gameplay for the later content separately, so people can avoid spoilers for a bit longer. This is a quest that I usually run solo on my Djeeta just to practice dodging and perfect block timings. But for this run, I'll be using a full party, just so you can see what the AI party members can do once they've been built up. So it's worth testing how each of the characters acts, just to see if they can benefit your playstyle. Since I'm a close range melee character, I decided to use long range focused party members. I gave Eugen an emergency heal that can surprisingly heal between 33 to 36,000 health when used. So on top of his high damage, he can also offer a bit of support. At the beginning of a battle, Gran and Djeeta may need a bit of ramp up time to increase their arts level, but once they do, they're able to keep a rhythm going of building up arts and then unloading skills to consistently deal damage, or to support party members, depending on how they've been built. They may not be able to easily hit the high single hit damage numbers that you see from some of the purely damage focused characters, but Gran and Djeeta have the advantage of having a highly mobile and free-flowing playstyle, with damage focused skills that have quick cooldowns and can hit multiple times. I'm sure this is far from everything they can do, since I still have a lot to learn, and there are a few more things I want to experiment with equipment wise, like reducing their skill cooldowns even further, or finding that sweet spot to activate charged parries. But I have plenty of time to do that since it's still early days for Relink. And that's the end of the battle. Now to see if Eugen stole MVP again. This was one of the entry-level Proud Mode fights that's pretty straightforward compared to some of the later fights. But this was just a sample of what you should expect if you're still making your way through the game. My party is much stronger than they were when I did this for the first time, so it was faster to take the boss down, but just expect it to put up more resistance the first time through. I'm not really doing anything particularly impressive or special. This is just something that people will be able to do once they upgrade their characters, whether that be through multiplayer or spending a bit more time to gear up while offline. If you're interested in buying Granblue Fantasy Relink, or if you want to see how you can try the game for yourselves, then click the link in the description or on the pinned comment. A demo for it is available on the PlayStation 4 and 5, so it's possible to play a portion of the story as the captain and take part in a selection of quests before buying the game. Now that I finally have the game, I have a lot more that I want to show you, so don't forget to subscribe if you want to be the first to know when a new video is available. I'll be making some new videos very soon, but for now, here's another that you might find interesting.